Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Xenogears and the Chair. Okay, so I've danced around it for 2 episodes of Disc 2 now. The chair is, well, what you see. Someone sitting in a chair and explaining the plot. Now, this is what happens when you either run out of time, you run out of money, or, you have disc limitations or whatever happened to happen in this particular case. I've heard pretty much all of them. They ran out of funds to finish making this game, and so Disc 2 basically takes place in the chair. And instead of actually showing the scenes and having us participate in a lot of them, they tell you that, oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Now, there's a lot of ways you could take a game that you don't have the money to finish, or you don't have the time to finish. You could end it on a cliffhanger and not give everyone the full story, and do everything up to that point as you normally would. You could cut lots of corners by cutting out some irrelevant stuff, such as, extra dungeons or, say, mini games or something like that, or replay value or whatever. You could just get really lazy and just say the hell with it, and then kind of end it with really shitty kind of continuation from a great beginning, or what they did in this game. And even though I'm not a super big fan of this kind of approach, it's still better than almost any other alternative. What they've done here is they've cut out the dungeons. They've cut out, there's still a few, it's not like the rest of it is text boxes. That's definitely not the case. But what we do get here is we get a lot of reading. We get to read what they have done, what they're supposed to do, and what this does is it keeps the plot going. And so they don't take any they don't cut too many corners with the plot, other than the fact that we don't get into an emotional situation, from an emotional situation, right? You don't go through this long dungeon and then it's like, now we finally do this, and then all of a sudden this bullshit happens, and you're just, all this emotion flows. You just get thrown to that emotional scene where the emotion should flow, but not as strongly as it would if you had kind of worked your way there. Now, a lot of the game, Disc 2 does take place in here because either they ran out of money or they ran out of time, and that's unfortunate. However, because a lot of the plot stays intact, we should still be able to kind of go through there and kind of understand what happens. However, if they were to remake this game, we would hope to see all of these dungeons that we missed on Disc 2 kind of been rolled out for us. Of course, they'll never do that, because if there's a good game to remake, they won't do it. They're just going to remake same crappy games that they always remake and try and sell lots of the same game over and over again. How many Assassin's Creeds do we need? I haven't actually played any of the Assassin's Creed. They look interesting enough, but I don't need one every year. I don't have that much time to play games every year, so... Anyway. Since last time, Ellie and Emeralda headed for the ruins of the Zeboim civilization, or another set of ruins, where the mass driver was located. And they're nice enough to give you an idea of approximately where it would be. The facility was still active, which allowed us to proceed to the central control room with little difficulty. So it's just a standard dungeon that they would have put in here, and it would have looked kind of like this. Along the way, saw missiles, giant rockets, and a whole bunch of other stuff. They looked like tombstones of the ancient civilization. Graveyard for a race of people who destroyed each other over pride and arrogance. We haven't really heard what happened to the Zeboim civilization yet, which is why I've kind of not talked about the reference that Zeboim is. But we'll get there eventually. We met up with Satan, helped us activate the mass driver because he seems to know everything. We succeeded in launching the capsule containing nanomachines, which would release the seal limiters for everyone on the planet. And from this point, which I don't remember ever seeing on the map, though I believe... I wonder if this is visible later on. We actually do get control over the world map later on. I don't think we ever see this particular island, though. think it disappears. Anyway, hey, look at that. It looks like snow. It's not. It's nanomachines, which you shouldn't be able to see, but oh well. Having those little machines floating through the sky probably would change the color of the sky because it would change the angle of incidence of the light coming through and it would reflect off there. That'd be an interesting sight to be able to make look at. And I guess they're kind of, referencing that with the pink-purple wave there. I don't know why we don't get kind of more triumphant music at this point since we're accomplishing exactly what we wanted to. But, oh well. Oh, there's Nissan. Well, this is good. We've succeeded in something that only became a plot point kind of now-ish. We didn't really have a whole lot of reason to do this up until now, until we found out, oh, we should probably, help out these other people too. Anyway, the nanomachines were scattered into the upper atmosphere, and they began to multiply and spread throughout the world. Large river in the sky would remove the bonds restraining everyone. It was to be our light of hope for regaining back our true freedom. But of course, the good things never last. Anyway, Solaris' mobile surface supremacy weapon, otherwise known as that weird-looking thing in the background there, I think it's known as Fort Hurricane, invaded the area with great force. And of course, shitty gear battalions have no chance against it. Matter of time before arrived in Nissan. Now, of course, Faye's in the chair explaining some more stuff here. After we pushed back the Solarian gear units, we headed for Nortune, Kislev's capital administrative district. There we went to obtain our one and only means of standing up against the mobile weapon. So the idea here that they're trying to get across is that if this scene had played out properly in the game, we would have been at our end of our ropes. We would have been completely screwed at this point. This beast of a thing is attacking everyone. We don't know if we're going to survive. We have the option to save, continue the game. Yes. And they put a lot of those in here so that you don't have to go too long without having an option of saving. Anyway, once we got here, we find out that it was itself a secret battleship constructed by Bart's ancestor, Roni Fatima, to the Great War with Solaris many hundreds of years ago, or 500 years ago rather. The existence of the secret battleship remained hidden. Later, the ship was turned into a section of the Kislev imperial capital during the founding of the Empire. So that would say that in the beginning of this country, it had something to do with Ave, since, of course, this was an Ave thing originally, right? Roni Fatima was the founder, well, not the founder, but a relative of Bart's in the Ave kingdom. Uncovering it from ancient records that probably would have come from the Queen of Shavat, Bart activated the secret battleship in order to fight against the Solarian mobile surface supremacy weapon. The sand cruiser Yggdrasil was actually the center command and also the main secret weapon of the craft. Awakening 500 years of dormancy, its true form appeared before us. Yeah, the entire purpose of this is, I guess we were so completely screwed that we had to be lucky enough to find this whatever it is. And, this ancient weapon that no one knew about and somehow we figured out. Well, we found it, I guess, even though they haven't really shown that. Luckily, they do show this. There's the Yggdrasil in the front. What? Oh, guess what? Robots in disguise. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, they put some strange, very slow transformation sequence in here of a building and a ship transforming into a robot. Always gotta love them giant mechs, especially in this game. There we go. Would you look at that? Why are we getting a crotch shot? Super Dimensional Gear Yggdrasil 4. And of course, Bart has to get a hiya in there because Bart. Come on, monster, let's go! And so yeah, we're gonna fight that Fort Hurricane thing. Take a look at my HP. Booyah! And look at the crap damage he's attempting to do to me. Now this gear is slow as balls. However, this thing doesn't stand a chance. Look at the power output, 1,000. Hyper mode is impossible, you can't get any attack levels. Look at that, fuel, 9,900 fuel. Agility level, 5. That's sad. Okay, we have two things. We have the Yggdrasil Cannon for 9,000 fuel, which just guarantees max damage, 9,999. I don't know why. But anyway, let's, we can't build up attack levels, but this guy I think has 16 or 15,000 HP. So we have to hit it a couple of times, and then I'll show off the Yggdrasil Cannon, because this is the only time we're ever going to get to see it. Even though Bart has access to this now, he doesn't for the rest of the game, for whatever reason. Nope. There we go. So yeah, do a couple of those. I think it's 16,000 HP total. But yeah, this thing is a lot faster than we are. But it doesn't stand a chance because look at that crap damage it can do. It can't do more than 400 damage. So let's show off the Yggdrasil Cannon. This is the only battle we get with the Yggdrasil gear. And for something that costs 9,000 fuel, I really wish that looked cooler. Oh well. That's pretty much it for Fort Hurricane. And even though it didn't mention it in the battle that Faye fought against Ramses there, we did actually get some experience and money from that one, as well as we get experience and money from this one. This one, of course, only for Bart, the other one, of course, only for Faye. Anyway, it was destroyed, which brought a sigh of relief to the continent of Ignis. Peace was signed, and after some 500 years of division, the land of Ignis was once again reunited. And everyone seems to be happy. The sky shimmered as if to celebrate. Nanomachines had been dispersed. That was when disaster struck. Yeah, we can't have nice things in this game. It doesn't last very long. Anyway, they were replaced by the sounds of total pandemonium. In the beginning, we had no idea what had transpired. We witnessed unexplicable phenomenon. People from all parts of the globe began to mutate into abnormal forms. Kind of take a look at those scenes, especially the guy in green glowing in the middle there. Yeah, people are just turning into animals, and so yeah. When the nanomachines removed the limiter that was placed on the humankind by Krellian in the past, they've never really gone into great detail about this, but this is the same Krellian as the blue-haired Krellian from the past, the one that learned nanomachines, and he was the implementer of the limiters, at least as far as the game tells us. Human form with his innate abilities was released. What Hammer had said back in Solaris, his words were, "What becomes of normal humans?" And what he was saying back then is he had also said something about he won't release it. This is what Hammer was referring to. The reason why he killed and tried to kidnap Ellie, why he killed his mother, or her mother, sorry, was so that Krellian wouldn't release whatever this was. So this is kind of our fault for releasing the seal, and also not, and we'll explain that. This scene, maybe? Yes, I believe it's this scene, so that's good timing. They're naturally germinating because the resurrection of God is near. So basically, people are changing partially because the limiters been removed now, and partially because it's close to the resurrection of God, so something else is changing. those will become the body of our servant. Even without using the key. Well, what does the key do? Some of them have not begun to germinate. That's how they're going to refute it. Are they not destined to be the flesh of God? They aren't particularly clear here whether they're being literal or figurative, or if they have a specific goal in mind. Well, they do, but it makes a lot more sense on subsequent playthroughs once you know the story. Anyway, let's reactivate the strategic points of the Soylent system. Incomplete mutants. They are useless now in their half-finished form. There cannot be any harm to them in having too many of them, sorry. Ah, who's that? Ah, Miang. The chains that restrained humankind have been removed because of you. So, yeah. It was also part of what Krellian has done here. Everything is still under control. In the event of the explosion in the capital of Solaris earlier, I had set up a nanomachine virus to diffuse into the atmosphere. So yes, its destroying of that caused this virus to go through, which is why the nanomachines that we release into the atmosphere removed the limiter and allowed this virus to basically enact itself. Timing was a little close for comfort. So yeah, basically, even though we screwed up, Krellian is a jackass. Current mutations of humans are an initial response to the virus. Once the virus is spread over the world, germinates inside of the humans, they are no longer the same, obviously. They change into a controllable form. We need humans that do not depend on the key's invocation in order to awaken. Why? Yeah, that's what the other guys have been saying. So yeah, it was basically like a Trojan horse. It sat there and pretended that it was going to do nothing, and then once you release one thing, they're like, oh, activate time, and yeah. What she's referring to here is the Gazelle Ministry. Everyone in Solaris seems to have their own agenda. Kane is different from the rest of the Gazelle Ministry. Krellian is different from them. Miang has had strange relationships between herself and Ramses and Krellian now, as well as Graf. Anyway, the Ark of God is mine. Either way is fine by me. I'll just side with whichever side is more certain, one way or the other. Makes sense, she's going to align herself with the winners. Smart girl. What do we have here? This is the new Soylent system, or rather, the reawakened ones on the surface. Group of facilities formerly created by Solarians, or Solaris, or whatever. I love the music choice on disc 2. That's one of the things they do really well. They make use of really cool, kind of eerie themes a lot, and they really do work. They still existed on the Earth from before, and they were used for biological experiments and brainwashing. So they're not exactly like the same ones from before, but yeah, look at all the mutated people. To what were called Wells, or the true form of humans. Somehow, Wells, I guess, through the game's logic, at certain times is the true form of humanity, and at other times it's not. It's not entirely clear. Some of the humans turned Wells were attacking healthy humans, devouring their flesh and blood to ease their pain. As you can see, more of the healthy people have disappeared now. It's because healthy human flesh and blood eased their pain of sudden molecular changes and let them live longer. Their lives were very short. Wells do not live for long periods of time. Soon after, severely mutated beings started to seek the flesh and blood of less mutated beings. We can see where this is going. The Soylent system divides and merges those mutated bodies on a molecular level. So, well, let's just go through some more talking for a moment here. Basically, they're merging all of the partial, they said that they were half useful and they're half completed, how these humans have been mutating. Well, they're trying to kind of combine them into a more perfect single life form to be used as a weapon. That's their purpose here. Those are all people, or parts of people anyway. Yeah. This was the truth behind the Gazelle Ministry's M plan, which I believe, if we remember that one room with all the dolls, was also part of Rico. Rico was part of the M plan, or one of the main parts of it. It's that fusing. That's why they did those experiments that created demi-humans, so that they weren't actually creating demi-humans. They were kind of releasing things so that they could come through if they're supposed to be the true form of humans. Anyway, there's a lot of confusion at this point with respect to this kind of concept, whether real humans are what look like humans to us, or if we're supposed to look like Wells, in the game anyway. Some people gathered seeking a fulfillment of this promise, freeing themselves from unbearable agony. The news spread, although no one actually uttered it. The mutated blood probably told such people to gather here. So they built something into the genes that only got revealed once they started to mutate. Whether that was something Solaris did or not, who knows. We went there to destroy the Soylent system. However, this leads into a relatively long scene, so that's going to do it for this episode of Let's Play Xenogears. Next time! Whoa, that's a lot of wells, and they're all just lining up to die. Wow, this game is dark. Both literally, in terms of color choice sometimes, and thematically. Anyway, like I said, all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.